what I'd like to share.
Who is a top-notch plasterer?
This gentleman right here.
I met all of them together in the same place at Northern High, and they were just people in the class.
But in our present class at the University of Michigan, which we just finished last Friday, he was our assistant, #1 assistant, and she was Lucienne's #1 assistant. See, #1 male assistant, don't stop #1. It doesn't work. All we do is prepare the surface. And since you're so attentive, I'll give you an idea of what fresco is. Fresco is painting a wet lime wall. We plaster 3 coats. I won't give it the dimensions. You can get them from him or from me or from her or from her. Never mind. And he has a book and she has books on how to do this stuff. But invite us and we'll give you a cost analysis. Anyway, you have 3 coats. On the 3rd coat, you enlarge a sketch similar to this. See? You can't see what it is, but people generally don't know what it is anyway, even if they can read it.
Yeah, you have to experience it before it all translates
Yeah,
like a book.
I will tell you, this is north of Point Arena, and this is south of Point Arena. And this is the ocean currents where we live. And if you want us to put this on your wall in the kitchen or bedroom or wherever,
We'd be happy
we'd
to.
love to do it. We enlarged the sketch on the 3rd coat, just like Rivera did at DIA. We telescoped it with our students because we only had 2 weeks. So we enlarged the sketch. Between the 4 of us, it was terrible. Oh, Lord! You don't want to do that with students. But we slept through it, so to speak. We winked through it. And the students didn't know that any difference, except we'd never do it that way again. They have a dean. And she's a very smart woman.
Yes, she is.
Let me put it this way, that's wrong. She's a very smart dean. I don't care whether she's a woman or not, it's got nothing to do with that. She's a very smart dean, and she hired us on the say-so of somebody who heard this lecture. Did you know that?
John Rush.
John Rush.
Yeah.
John Rush, I'm telling you, it's not so much the dean as John Rush. John Rush is responsible for us being there. And we had 14 students. We're supposed to have 16, but we winked at that a little bit. We did a little white lie by saying that 2 of the Cohen brothers could come in. They had personal problems. They still got them.
They're in jail. Right?
Who's in jail?
No.
It's so embarrassing to us 4. We don't know which way to turn. Lucienne and I had, they're our best men. In Bulgaria, the best man is almost part of the family once he gets there. But that's no way to handle best man. This is ridiculous. Let's forget that.
Yes.
So, we have these people, and we actually teach them how to plaster. Up to the 3rd coat, just forget, we telescoped a lot of coats. They outlined the sketch, and the sketch looked terrible. Because nobody, see, we kept telling them, you've got to bring us a sketch this big, or however, in color. If you don't bring it to us in color, and in watercolor, because this is a watercolor technique, we can't help you. And I only remember one person bring us a color sketch.
Who?
Remember
no
what
one
it was?
did.
I don't remember which one.
Way back there in the back, you didn't see it.
Oh.
Because I don't remember.
And how could you
With the
help a
car.
person? How could you criticize what they're painting if you don't have something to measure to? But
We had a picture of a car. They got a Ford. They had a picture of a Ford.
That's the only
And we
one.
knew
That's
that was
the
going.
only
The
one.
Ford was going to go in. We
Yeah.
knew that.
Anyway.
The only trouble is Carol.
Yeah.
Carol kept sitting on her duff and wouldn't get out of there and give her a chance to paint.
Carol was.
Oh, God, let's not discuss this.
Was Carol a photographer?
Carol,
One of the students.
Carol is a student who says, you know, my father held the flag at your mother's funeral. And I said, quick, listen to me, who the hell is this guy? Father. Then she gives me a few other things, sort of a song and dance, what he had done when he was a young man. Then I found out who he was. He was a union organizer up there in Flint.
I didn't know that.
Now you know.
I know.
But don't tell her that. I happen to think he's a union. I don't think she knew that he was a union organizer the way I know he was a union organizer. He was on the left side of the union. And those you don't mention today.
Wow, those are the names we don't
You
remember.
just mention them union organizers and forget it. Okay. Well, Carol spoiled everything. Not she didn't really spoil it.
No,
But
she was
the-
difficult.
But the other folks, the other students were so polite, but Carol wasn't, and that's, Lucienne and I were a little taken aback. I don't know how you and Debbie felt, but, yeah. What do you do when a person
Funny lady.
refuses to get up from a chair and keeps on painting on somebody who somebody else is supposed to paint?
Yes,
This is,
Painted on somebody else's.
yes,
Well,
it had
she
been
was very
James.
difficult.
Jane said, James, please let me paint for you too. And I said, okay. And then I had to go away to phone, and it was a long phone call when I came back, somebody else was
Was it the
just
strike one that
devastating.
Carol did? The strike?
there. No, it was a wicked, wicked looking woman with a wicked child.
They turned out good though. I
Now-
did like the wicked woman. I like the
Yeah.
wicked child.
Yeah,
Here we
well, I
have-
told her,
But yeah, Carol did that whole
We outlined,
section.
on the third coat, we outlined the sketch, which is like this, except it's outlined in
Oh,
red.
this is one difficult temperament.
Then we trace just a little part, like this. We trace it on tracing paper. We take the tracing paper off and we plaster just that one part. We're supposed to plaster 2 coats. We plaster 1 coat, but we have ventilators. And I was a very experienced, I plastered for at least 30 frescoes. I don't know, 7 or 8 of Diego's and 19 of 20 of Lucienne's. And I couldn't take advantage of this, I didn't know how the hell I was gonna do it.
So fast.
And folks,
with the
if you ever go to University of Michigan, you're gonna see the most terrible plastering you ever saw in your life.
Oh,
Well,
well,
I think it's
the
terrible.
students, plus it was students coming at it,
No,
making little.
No.
no,
What happened is we didn't water it enough,
Yeah.
because this thing kept picking it off.
You have to remember, I think we should have said, that we had, the last time was 2 weeks before, we had plastered for walls painted in Northern California.
Wait, I'll tell that story, so we'll play while you're drawing. We, a week before we came to Michigan, we had a class through the California Arts Council. If you come to California, you're gonna pay 20%, and that 20% on your motel goes to the California Arts Council. Isn't that wonderful? I think that's great. Please come to California.
Please instigate it in
So many people, dancers, name them. There's 15 different activities, plus fresco painters who get a crack at this. It's well paid, not overly well paid, it's paid well enough. And the California Arts Council does this, and the people who are in there know their business. Mildred, what was the last name? Doesn't make any difference. Mildred came and saw it. We were working for the College of the Redwood, and the College of the Redwood was very intelligent. It salted the place. There were 30 people, and we only had 12 students. And 30 people were making motions, and Mildred came in there and says, "Oh my God, you mean to tell me we're paying for all of this that's going on here?" As soon as she left, the next week, there was only 12. That's called salting.
They do that in California.
But I'm sure she's intelligent enough to know exactly what was going on. But that's beside the point. So, on this third coat, we have the outline, we take it off, we plaster 1 coat, we float it, we make it rough up to a certain, this is all smooth.
Yes.
Inside house you have. I'll tell you, it's as rough as the surface of one of these crackers. This surface, it's this rough really, it should be. And then you wait about half an hour,
Crack.
then you plaster
Yeah.
2 coats.
There's 2, this thickness here is 2 coats.
Okay.
Wet and then wet.
Then you polish it, then you start painting. You can only paint while it's moist.
Oh, wow.
And you test it with the back of your hand because it has no oil. This part has oil, this part has no oil.
You know,
Most of the students forgot, but that's making it right.
Flat palms, flat
Well,
on.
when the air conditioning is going,
That was
you
when we
really
drove Carol
fast.
from the room. We all yelled at her and she ran out
And
of
the
the room.
humidity
She went home.
is
You can't
30%.
even touch it because
So-
it'll take the oil right off your hand.
See, you have this, it's polished, but your teacher says, well, what do you mean, you can't, it's too wet, you can't. So you go out and have lunch, you come back, and you ask your teacher, is this ready? I can't, because the students can't tell the difference between one and that. And then finally the teacher says, yeah, you can start. So you start, and you paint so long as it's moist. Which from 1 or 2 o'clock until 4
Yeah,
o'clock.
this would last a couple, few
That's
hours.
it.
Yeah.
And
3
that's-
hours.
And the colors are all oxides of metals, which means you can get them from the top, the side of any hill. You can get them in the state of Virginia, there's a whole bunch of different ones. A lot of them come from Pozzuoli, a little town in Italy. Venice, Venetian red comes from Italy. Mexico, Magre Morado comes from Italy, from Mexico. Bull's blood comes from also wine, but the same name comes from Hungary. You can have the wine or the color, you have a choice.
Now, if you don't get this done in the allotted time, then while it's
That's it.
still moist,
That's it.
it's
You can
rip
tell-
it off and blast it tomorrow.
You
Start again.
chop away. They'll paint as far as they can and then cut the edge.
Oh, I
and
see.
go on tomorrow. You join it, that's the giornata. the
When
day's
you
work.
were, when you were working with Rivera at DIA, and you were doing this, I mean, we're talking whoa-ho. You didn't have air conditioning. I don't know when he was, what time of year he
It
was
wasn't
doing it.
heated.
It wasn't heated.
Froze to death.
Really?
It was that cold.
We froze to death in the
You didn't have to
winter.
worry
Well,
about the
what-
plaster setting then.
Oh, so it won't set. Oh,
Steve
so it'll
broke
take
it.
longer to set.
I
How,
didn't just stream from it.
what,
It was in summer.
you go as far,
He was there.
you went as far as you could go, and then you had to start over with the,
Let me describe Detroit. Diego has done something. That's to say about 11, 12 o'clock at night. And there is Niendorf, and I'm way out there in the shadows, you don't see me. And Halberstadt or Sanchez Flores is with Niendorf, so there's 3 of them there. And there's a lot of gibberish in Spanish and French. Well, you gotta know one of the 2 languages because Diego
Yeah.
spoke terrible English. So you listen to them, pretty soon you become used to the words they use. And Diego will take a piece of charcoal and he says, I want this much done for tomorrow. So Niendorf nods his head, and Sanchez Flores has a great big 48-inch tracing paper, very thin, yellow, the kind of architects use what they call talking paper. It has no grease on it. Paper is very cheap. You put it on there, take them out they want, and Diego walks away to go home. Probably Frida's down there waiting and swearing at him. Yeah, so they arm in arm, they go out, and if Halberstadt is not there, Niendorf will say to me, okay, Dimi. So I go down to the 3rd basement. Detroit Institute of Arts has 4 basements. From the street level, there's 4 basements. The things in the lowest basement are the things that people have donated, plus a lot of money. They'll never see the light of day. Excuse my French, but they're pure crap. But the museum has to take up to get the money. That's all. On the next level, there's some very good things, and at a certain time, they'll show up once. And the homes, or the groups of these families are very happy they show them. They're well-to-do people, you know. On the 3rd one is where we used to work. There was why did we work there? There was a drain. And when I got there, they had a piece of wood. But it was about 2 inches, and we had to clean our marble dust. We bought marble dust, which wasn't cleaned properly, so we had to put water through it. And when the water comes out, what comes out with the water was the very fine marble dust, which is like flour, and it'll do away with your drain in no time. So I watched, I have to tell you, you're talking to a tool at 90. So I watched the water go over, and I said to myself, boy, this drain isn't going to last very long. I went to one of the people upstairs, I said, look, I need a 4-inch, that much higher, to hold back all the sand possible, so that only pure water goes over the top to go in the drain. Of course, Sanchez Flores was very happy that I suggested that. Then I started washing marble dust. It really didn't have to be marble dust, but when you paid $25,000, you use marble dust. So you didn't care. So I would be down there washing the stuff during the day. I would spread it around, and in 2 days it would be dry. I would again put that in special piles. What I'm trying to tell you is what I had to do without knowing exactly why I was doing it until months later. Then I would mix 2 parts of, say, number 16 gauge, means those of you who wear stockings, denier. 16 denier, 16 holes to the inch. In marble dust, only that marble dust that goes through 16 is usable. Then we have another one which is 12. We take that stuff, we put it through a 12. Only that which goes through the well, 12 is used and the rest is thrown away. So we use a lot of marble dust. It was very cheap in 1933. It was dirt cheap. And lime was dirt cheap. Today the stuff, one sack of white Portland cement. When I say the word Portland, you ought to be paid for this lecture.
Yeah, that's good.
When I say Portland, it's the name of an island off the British coast, in which a lot of the stone that was used to make the cement is from the island of Portland. Not Portland, Maine, or Portland cement. But anyway, white Portland cement means that it was heated to such a degree that 180 denier has to go through 180 denier. That's awfully fine. It's finer than flour. Why? Because when that cement hits water, it just is perfect for our particular purpose. But the cement needs a little aggregate. It needs something a little rougher than itself. Gee, I never knew I could explain it this well.
Good.
It needs something that's rougher than itself to be able to be tougher than itself. By itself, cement doesn't mean anything cracked. But you put a little gravel, oh boy, it's tough. And then, after the Rivera went home, we traced the piece, we plastered 1 coat, we went out and had breakfast at the White Castle hamburgers. That's right.
Sliders.
It's wonderful. You just don't know how delicious it is. You have nothing else. Delicious.
When you're hungry.
In 1932, it was fantastically wonderful. Anyway, you come back and you plaster the final coat, which you polish. Polish it so it's like this. And then you call Diego. By this time, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. It took us about 5 or 6 hours to do this. I'd say 6 by 5, 20 square feet. 6 by about this much. And Diego was going to paint this in 1 setting. So we polished it nicely. All I did was get the stuff from the 3rd basement or 4th basement, whichever it was. Take it over to Niendorf, and you put the water on very carefully. You 2 folks know all about it. Then he waits a while, and he puts another batch, and he peels it this way and that way in every which direction. And he says, okay, Dimi, give me number 4. So I dump it out on something that's 24 by 24, and he mixes it up. Make sure that I've done the right job. No assistant trusts the other assistant.
Yeah, really, I was just gonna say.
No, we don't trust each other. I could have been asleep or whatever. I mean, a cigarette butt could have fallen in it. That's
Yeah, or a
not
mouse.
permissible. So, then he starts plastering. You've seen me plaster when I was in good mood. This guy was 10 times better than I was. You yourself must have been wonderful when you got a chance and you were in a good mood and the wall was just right. You have a wonderful feeling. You do that, you take a piece of wood or a piece of cork and you float it. You even it up. And you go and have breakfast. In San Francisco, we have this, what is this place? Denny's.
Denny's we have here.
Yeah, we have Denny's here.
Because I am over 50 or 60, Oh, we want to Zimmerman.
Oh, Zimmerman.
Senior citizen.
Wonderful. But
First,
Zims don't give you a rebate like the others do because I'm over 60.
Gotta go to the Prague City Grinder.
That's right. Well, but anyway, so you quickly go, you're not interested in breakfast, that's secondary. You go back and you feel the wall. And I don't know how to describe to you, but at a certain point, you know it's the right time to plaster the last coat, what the Italians call intonaco. It's 1-to-1. One line to 1 30 mesh, 30 denier, which is pretty fine. And you plaster on it and you polish it, it's polished like this. It takes you a long time. Niendorf is doing the polishing. I'm getting up here, the edges is what I usually do, and the ends. And this is for about 2 hours, not a word is said. Just here. And the first time that we did it, it was kind of eerie for me because I'm not used to it. I began to joke with him, and then it didn't answer my jokes, so I shut up. I said to myself, the guy doesn't want to talk. After that, I never talk. Then here it is, 5:30, 6 o'clock, and from 12 o'clock until 6 o'clock, we've done this. It's perfect. So he says to me, okay, did he clear it? So I clean everything, sweep down below. He says, I'll go and call. So he calls Diego. And then we wait. See, as a plaster, he has all whites. He went out and back and he changed his whites to the regular street clothes, which are, in Michigan, they were wool. First class wool. He knew how to dress and a hat. And of course, I had to get a goodwill. But there's nothing wrong with that. That's my style.